If you missed the Warriors and the Lakers' third preseason game of the season for Golden State, you weren't alone. And that's the entire reason why we did not go live last night like we typically do after a Warriors game is because it wasn't televised here in the Bay Area. It's embarrassing. I'm calling you out, NBC Sports Bay Area. I don't even look, if that organization just came out and said we're bankrupt, no surprises. They could not afford to send a production team to LA. They couldn't afford to also send a production team to Portland. Newsflash, the Warriors game tomorrow night, also not going to be televised here in the San Francisco Bay Area. The game was advertised to be on NBA TV, and then I heard people say it wasn't even televised there. The only way you could have watched the game was on NBA League Pass because the Lakers broadcasted the game. And so the League Pass stream took their feed. That was the only way. So if you're already spending an exorbitant amount of money on cable, on Dish, on YouTube TV, on Hulu, their live stream, their live programming, yeah, it's not enough. You also got to spend apparently another $25 a month just to watch a preseason game. It's absurd. Welcome to 2025. I had a chance to watch most of the game, a recording of it today. And so I'm going to recap what happened in that preseason loss and just double down on the frustration. It is utterly asinine that the San Francisco Bay Area could not watch their Golden State Warriors unless they had a League Pass subscription or they were not hacking, but they were using one of the hacked streams that pirate these games. Absurd. NBC Sports Bay Area is not an organization to be taken seriously. Clearly. Anyways, this is where we're at. I'm going to do my best to break it down for you. Good news is it's the preseason and utterly, again, shameful practice by NBC Sports Bay Area, not expected to continue in the regular season. But if you're a hoops junkie like me, yeah, last night you were missing out on Warriors action. So let's talk about what we all missed next. It's Monday night. I waited until the first football game was over before we start the broadcast. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Golden State.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. Leave me alone this summer.
Woo! Let's go. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up.
Area. Act like you're utterly. Welcome to the Golden Days presented by FanDuel. I'm your host for the evening, Cyrus Saatsaz. You can follow me on Threads and Instagram at DogWild. Over on Twitter, my handle is at Surf Journalist. The program on both platforms at Golden Days Pod. We're coming to you on a Monday night. We normally come to you immediately following live games. But again, we could not do that last night because, well, we could have, but it just didn't feel right, given the vast majority of the audience would have been coming in going, did you get to watch the game? There was a game tonight? It's again, just a pure amateur hour by NBC Sports Bay Area, a once proud institution that is just a shell of their former selves. I mean, you've heard all the doom and gloom news about TV, and do not pretend NBC Sports Bay Area is excluded from that. A janky operation. Side note, if you want some leadership there who can get shit done, my hand's raised. Let me know. I could use a supplemental income, or I'm going to guess the person leading a network makes a good income, but nonetheless, if you want someone that can actually get shit done and get all the games, all the teams in this market broadcasted, hit me up. Let me know, because I guarantee I can do a better job than whoever is currently in leadership at that just Bush League operation to not carry a Golden State Warriors preseason game. The regular season starts tomorrow, a week from tomorrow. I apologize. And NBC Sports Bay Area is not giving any coverage of any kind for the Golden State Warriors. They didn't give any yesterday. They didn't give any today. I think they're going to have like replays of old recorded shows tomorrow mixed in with some infomercials and a whole bunch of gaps in their programming that's just blank and black. It's a joke. Anyways, welcome to the program. And the Golden State Warriors did lose. It was the first preseason loss of the season. The final score, 126-116. Turnovers were the name of the game in this battle. I actually have some notes because I found at least partial recordings of the game. It was crazy how I was able to even figure that out today because the recordings of the game still require League Pass. So I had to join the community who seeks out the free versions of things. And then I matched up what I saw with the play-by-play box score, and I put together some notes. And I hope I can give you a nice summarization of a Warriors game that ended up in a losing manner to the Los Angeles Lakers at Crypto. It was a night where Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Al Horford were sitting. They were just resting. Jimmy Butler, side note, sprained his ankle last Friday in a practice. This was the practice that a lot of people were talking about in terms of Jimmy going back to psycho killer mode. What I mean by that is Jimmy Butler is notorious for occasionally treating practice like a real game, just to wake his teammates up and you know, show the type of energy, show the type of commitment needed to be a winning basketball player. And I guess Jimmy showed his teammates a version of that Friday, but he also sprained his ankle during that practice. And so he is listed, I believe, as questionable, even though there's no official injury report for preseason games. Jimmy Butler may or may not play tomorrow night in Portland, another game that NBC Sports Bay Area is not televising because, again, they literally don't have the funds to send a production team for these preseason road broadcasts. You can listen to the game on radio, but if you want to watch the games on television, you have to, in addition to what you pay for live TV, have to pay an additional amount of money for NBA League Pass if you want to watch an uninterrupted broadcast. I don't know if NBA TV is carrying it. Side note, NBA TV is not available everywhere. I know they're available on YouTube TV, but I believe most cable subscriptions, most Dish subscriptions, and Hulu does not carry NBA TV. The why of that is beyond me. I know it's money, but Jesus Christ, get your shit together here, folks. Especially the NBA. If you're trying to grow your sport, maybe lower your fee for these providers. I mean, at a certain point in the negotiation, you're not going to win all of them. And why not just take a little bit less so your brand is shown to everybody? NBA management is inept. It's grossly incompetent, and it's embarrassing. Again, the words embarrassing, shameful, you're going to be hearing that a lot tonight pertaining to these gatekeepers who should be managing their business a lot better than they really are. And again, I'm griping here because we did not get a chance to watch the game. It's absurd in 2025. And not just that, they're not even carrying like a recording of the game. It's inexcusable. But again, I have some notes to share with you in terms of what I did watch last night. And here's what I picked up in terms of what I viewed. The Warriors started this game with the type of lineup that you may expect this coming season for back-to-back games, meaning the Warriors have something like 12 of them. I know some people have reported 15. I don't know where the 15 came from. Armando Laura and I did a show a couple weeks back where we literally went through the entire 82-game schedule and we counted 12 back-to-backs. I don't know if there's one or two of them in there because of the in-season tournament. But nonetheless, when the Warriors do play back-to-backs, chances are the older veterans like Stephen Curry, Al Horford, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, there's been nothing announced officially in terms of what the team's plan is for these back-to-backs, but be prepared for the veterans to sit a lot of those out. And so last night was a good audition for the Warriors youngsters who are going to be expected to pick up the workload when the veterans are out. And so you had a starting lineup for the Warriors last night that included Brandin Podziemski, Buddy Hield, Quidden Post. Draymond Green did play. He's not going to play tomorrow in Portland, and Jonathan Kuminga. The game started 13-13. The Warriors were in it as much as LA was. Brandin Podziemski, if we were going to award a player of the game, but again, because it wasn't televised, we're not going to do such a thing. Was the player of the game, though, if we're going to give that award out. He had a solid game, taking on the mantle of Stephen Curry. I'm saying that slightly facetiously because of the fact that Pods the other day in an interview did bring up the fact that he wants to be that standard bearer. And again, people were critical of Pods for that. I have nothing against confidence, and someone's going to have to pick up that mantle, and chances are it's not going to be Brandin Podziemski in real life, but I respect the confidence and respect the steadfast approach to a role like that and not cowering from it, but rather embracing it. Nonetheless, Podziemski had a solid game last night. The box score for him read like this: 23 points, was 10 of 16 shooting from the field, 3 of 7 shooting from deep. That's damn near 50%. You like that. Had no trips to the free throw lines, but the Warriors as a whole, when it came to officiating, were just screwed. And Draymond Green, side note, had 2 moments in this game where the cameras picked up some of his on-court commentary. And one of those 2 moments that were picked up was Draymond criticizing the fact that the Lakers were just getting the preferential treatment from the officials. And when you look at the number of free throws both teams had, even without LeBron, even without Luka, and Draymond Green did call those officials out for being so one-sided despite LeBron and Luka not playing. The Lakers had 35 free throw attempts. The Warriors had 8. And again, I didn't watch enough to see if in fact this was an officiating issue, or if maybe the Warriors were committing that many fouls while not attacking enough on the other side. But 35-8 is a massive discrepancy in terms of free throws. And I bring that up because Brandin Podziemski had 0 free throw attempts. In fact, of the 5 starters combined, they had 2 free throw attempts. And those were both taken by Jonathan Kuminga, who is a routine leader on the Warriors in free throw attempts. He's one of the best players on the team in terms of getting to the line, largely because he attacks, he's fast, he's athletic, and very difficult to defend. So Kuminga was the only starter with any free throw attempts with 2. But Brandin Podziemski, again, solid night, 23 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. Turnovers were a plague for the Golden State Warriors in this game. Podziemski, who's usually awesome in that category, a huge reason why Steve Kerr keeps playing him and entrusts him with big roles for such a young player. Even he had 2 turnovers. And the turnover game, again, was really ugly. But just to finish up with Podziemski real fast, 23 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, added a steal, was a +6 in net rating. So kudos to him. Jonathan Kuminga, his buddy on the court, these two could be the face of the Golden State Warriors for many years to come. Wait, Yup_2 is saying, I got to chill. Chill about what? About NBC Sports Bay Area? Why? Well, are you defending a broke-down TV station that still acts like they're relevant? Well, come on, elaborate, please. I don't understand what you mean in terms of me chilling. What? About a TV station that's literally run poorly to the point where they can't sell advertising, and as a result, they can't make money. If you can't run your TV station properly, leave. Change leadership. Hire someone who can. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke for one of our local TV stations, our supposed leading sports media entity here in the San Francisco Bay Area, to not have the money to broadcast Warriors road games, preseason or not, in 2025. That is absolutely embarrassing. And again, I'm guessing maybe you have relatives who work at that TV station. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Anyway, so going back to the Golden State Warriors here, Jonathan Kuminga and Podziemski, safe to say, were 2 of the best players in this game. Trayce Jackson-Davis had an awesome night, at least statistically. And LJ Crier, I'm going to talk about him in a second, the rook, the undrafted rook, who was the hero in the second preseason game for the Golden State Warriors. He didn't make an appearance in this game until the 4th quarter. If you're asking why, I don't have an answer. Steve Kerr did briefly address the media after the game. I'm going to play that clip, or at least a good portion of it. And LJ Crier's name did come up. I'm going to play that part of it. But the why, in terms of him only playing the fourth quarter, and LJ Crier played a total of 10 minutes and 28 seconds. And again, all of that in the fourth. Huge shrug of the shoulders for me. But and he for the second straight game in a row, he played a fantastic ball. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But Jonathan Kuminga was another player who, at least from my perspective, could say he had a solid performance, but not perfect. Far from it, actually. The highlight of him with the left-handed dunk is what made the rounds on social media, SportsCenter, NBA TV. Kuminga had this breakaway that Draymond threw a perfect pass to, and he just stuffed it down in front of, I think Austin Reeves was the defender, and just it was for a one-handed, casually looking a fast break. Kuminga definitely made that slam's impact felt. And it was just a reminder of this kid's force that he brings onto the court, and how badly they need him relative to the rest of his teammates who don't typically do things like that. Kuminga in this game was efficient, except for the turnover part. We'll talk about that in just a minute. 13 points. Side note, Brandin Podziemski, real fast, played 25 minutes, 33 seconds in this game. Kuminga played 22 minutes, 27 seconds, 5 of 8 from the field. He was 1 of 3 shooting from deep. With the only starter in this game to make the free throw line, he was a perfect 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. Added 6 assists. Jonathan Kuminga is deciding to become a facilitator and showcase that skill set this preseason. Did not grab any rebounds. I'm not too concerned about that. But what I am concerned about, and it's not just Jonathan Kuminga who's guilty of this. The Golden State Warriors had 14 first-half turnovers in this game. They finished the game with 20 turnovers total. 20! That's a bad number. 5 of those were by Kuminga, and I think 4 of the 5 were in the first half. Maybe all 5 were in the first half. I actually have that stat right here. I can tell you for certain. So Kuminga in the first half, I don't know why I said it like that. Yeah, all 5 turnovers in the first half. Not a good look there. Did add a steal. So 13 points, 6 assists for Jonathan Kuminga. But again, those 5 turnovers were a blemish, and I'd call him out more for it if he was the only one, just being completely loose with the ball, but he wasn't. Draymond Green, one of the sole veterans making an appearance in this game tonight. He played 22 minutes, 22 seconds. He had 4 turnovers, and his box score did not look pretty. 2 points, 4 assists, just 1 rebound, and 4 turnovers for the future Hall of Famer. So Draymond Green, despite showing up, was making headlines more so for the things he was saying on the court. One of those calling out the officials for the ridiculous free throw disparity, and the other was for because of a back and forth exchange with Dalton Connect. I'm not going to play that clip because the audio is really hard to pick up, and it's also all over the place. I think I even retweeted it myself. It's on social media. It ain't difficult to find that clip. But Draymond Green had a very funny exchange with Dalton Connect, which reminded me, for the upteenth time, if you're an NBA basketball player, why are you talking shit to Draymond Green? You're not going to win that battle. Yet Dalton Connect, for whatever reason, whose stock is just down right now. I've read multiple columns indicating that Dalton Connect's trade value has plummeted. And and speaking of trades, that's what Draymond Green called him out for. I don't know what Dalton Connect said to Draymond Green to upset him, but Draymond responded with saying, and I'm paraphrasing, don't quote me verbatim on this, calling him out for being someone who got traded twice just last season. He was part of that failed Mark Williams trade that the Lakers rescinded on, and Dalton Connect was going to go to the Hornets, and then Dalton Connect came back to the Lakers, and Draymond Green made it very well known that was embarrassing. And for someone who was in that position just a year ago, maybe he should not be the one talking smack to Draymond Green. So that was a moment of levity in the Warriors-Lakers game yesterday. But again, turnovers were a huge theme. We're going to hear from Steve Kerr in just a second about that. But first, let's hear from Brandin Podziemski, who was asked about his performance last night. And before we listen to Brandin Podziemski, and this is audio only because, again, there isn't a huge press contingent traveling with the Warriors. Anthony Slater, Sam Gordon, I don't know if Danny Emmerman's traveling, but there aren't a lot of folks reporting on the Warriors during this road trip. It's a very old school feel because this is like how the NBA was, I feel like, in the 60s, where you often had to rely on like newspaper reporters to find out what's going on with your team. So we're going to hear from Brandin Podziemski in just a second after I give some love to one of our sponsors of this program, and that is a very useful application called DeleteMe. DeleteMe makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Data brokers make a profit off your data. Your data is a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, and harassment. But now you can protect your privacy with DeleteMe. Data brokers, they'll steal your name, they'll steal contact information, your social security number, your home address, even information about your family members, and they compile all this and then sell it online. Protect yourself. The New York Times Wirecutter named DeleteMe their top pick for data removal services. So take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for DeleteMe now at a special discount for Golden Days' listeners. Get 20% off your DeleteMe plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/pro and use the promo code PRO, P-R-O, at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/pro, enter the promo code PRO, P-R-O, at checkout. One more time, that's joindeleteme.com/pro and use the promo code PRO at checkout. Let's hear from Brandin Podziemski. This was following the Golden State Warriors loss in LA, the final score 126-116. And Podziemski was asked, I think this clip pertains to the turnovers. I think, please forgive me if that's not what it was. I queued this up and I've already forgotten what this clip is about. Audio only, so the podcast audience, you are not missing a thing. If you're watching this on YouTube, just listen along and enjoy.
What do you think caused those? Spacing or?
Just spacing, getting to our spots, being organized. I think we did a poor job of giving JK space when he had it in the post, whether it was off of ISO or a set play. So clean that up in the third quarter, and we got some really good looks. That's why we went on a run.
You and Austin Reeves had a fun kind of back and forth in this game. You guys have matched up before. Just what is that matchup like?
Very fun. Represented by the same shoe company, so we know each other from that. Just high-level competition every time we get to go and play each other.
Steve's talked most of camp how well you've been playing, practices and all that. I mean, how do you feel like, the last 3 weeks have gone?
I think they've been pretty well. Just trying to find my lane and do the right things on and off the floor. And what I've been doing has been working, so continue.
You obviously cranked up the scoring today.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to cut it out there. I want to thank, this is why I repeatedly say the Golden Days audience has the highest IQ. Thank you for the correction. And again, forgive me. I don't make these kind of mistakes typically because I actually watch the games and I'm taking notes while I'm watching games. This is what happens when I have to look at quarter by quarter samples across the internet just to try and piece together a whole game. It was Jake LaRavia that Jonathan Kuminga slammed that dunk down. Again, thank you to the audience for correcting me. And it was not Austin Reeves, which is a shame because I love when Austin Reeves gets punked on the basketball court. So that was Brandin Podziemski. He brought up spacing in this game as being an issue. And again, I really wish that I could give you better analysis based off watching the game live, which is what I typically do. But thank you, NBC Sports Bay Area, you janky, cheap, broke asses, for not sending a production team on the road like professionals do to broadcast your game. Thank you very much again to everyone for the update on the Jonathan Kuminga dunk. My apologies again for that error there. Simon 2 in the chat really quickly adding, that they've heard some trade rumors regarding Bam Adebayo. I've heard the same things. I think Jake Fisher was the one who dropped that speculation as part of Mark Stein's Substack. That's all I've heard is just what Jake Fisher wrote about. And again, usually when folks like Jake Fisher are writing things like that, they're basing it off what Gabby agents are telling them. Teams rarely, if ever, leak information for good reason. And if they're doing so, it's usually with intent. We had a great discussion about this some weeks back with Sophia Jones adding some awesome perspective to it. So take it for what it's worth. Again, some people are jumping to this conclusion that there's going to be some big trade this season. I am in no way, shape, or form and am convinced anything's going to happen with the Golden State Warriors. There's a very strong possibility they're going to what you see on day one is what you're going to see in April. And again, for a trade to occur, it's got to be for an asset that's just unbelievably awesome. And look, Bam Adebayo is awesome. Let's not make any mistake about that. But you've heard that word fit brought up repeatedly. And my one concern with Bam Adebayo, and I think my one concern with whether or not, in terms of whether or not this is realistic, is Bam Adebayo as a fit on a Steve Kerr team. Now, if Bam Adebayo is who they're envisioning to be like Draymond's successor, now we're talking. But who are you going to play around Bam Adebayo? And not just this season, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Is Bam Adebayo in his 30s paired with Brandin Podziemski and Guy Santos? Is that moving the needle? Is that something that excites you? You got to keep those things in mind, like the variables of what this team looks like 2-3 years from now. And not to mention with the present, look, again, Bam Adebayo would be awesome. But what is Miami asking for? They're not going to give him away. Are you going to have to destroy your team this season in terms of the roster construction to get Bam so that you have this awesome center that Steve Kerr will not utilize properly? I'm very skeptical of the Bam Adebayo trade rumor. Could it happen? Yeah, absolutely. But again, Jake Fisher is relying off agent speculation for these kinds of blurbs. And I just don't know if Bam Adebayo is a fit as long as Steve Kerr is the head coach. I think there's a huge reason why the team went out and signed Al Horford. There's a reason why Quentin Post in year 2 is already starting games for them in the preseason. He started games for him last year. These stretch fives are game changers, and they absolutely provide the very spacing that Podziemski was talking about there in that attribution a moment ago. So we shall see. And Simon 2 adding, if the Warriors don't get Giannis, Bam might be the best option. Maybe, or maybe the best option is just doing nothing and going organic and developing your young players and rolling with them, right? I mean, they're the best. There is an option of the team not making a trade. What I'm trying to say here is don't assume that the Warriors are going to make a big move by the trade deadline. Stephen Curry does not like distractions. This team's history indicates they don't like making midseason trades. They don't like shaking things up. So, and if Kuminga is playing this role consistently, meaning, not trying to take over the offense, not trying to stat pad because he's playing for a contract and for his own identity in life, they're probably going to be happy with him. Again, 6 assists in this game, and those assist numbers are really high for the preseason. He's trying to facilitate, and he's also still an awesome basketball player. I personally would prefer them just keeping him, but that is just me. Now, speaking of Steve Kerr, the head coach of the Warriors, what do we hear from him? This was after last night's game, and he addressed numerous players, including Podziemski, who clearly is a favorite of Kerr's. And again, folks, in case you're ever wondering why there were a lot of people who may sound peeved with Brandin Podziemski, it's largely because of the favoritism from Steve Kerr. But this clip will be interesting. There's a few questions here we're going to get through. And it starts off with who's going to be the starting 2 guard for the Golden State Warriors. I don't know who asked Kerr this, but it was asked. And Steve Kerr currently is non-committal about who the starting 2 is going to be, or the starting center for that matter. I think what the gist of what I heard from Steve Kerr, and you're going to hear from it yourself, is that nothing is set in stone yet. This is Steve Kerr following last night's Warriors-Lakers game, again, which the Lakers won 126-116.
Considering, Moses is missing preseason and the way you continue to odds is playing, I mean, is he pretty penciled in at that starting two guard to start the year, would you say?
I can't say that yet. We've got to see where we are. I mean, Brandon's going to play a ton. He's a hugely important player for us, but the starting lineup, frankly, is a little tricky for us. Just given the pieces, Al's age. If Al were a little younger, he'd be in the starting lineup for sure. But if he's going to play limited minutes, it's tougher to start him and finish the game, if he's not playing as many minutes as he would have a few years ago. So we still have a lot to think about, but Brandon is going to be a huge part of it one way or the other.
Do you expect Draymond to play at all? He played 22 minutes tonight. Do you expect him to play in Portland, or is he going to get the night off?
He will have the night off in Portland, and then he'll play against the Clippers on Friday.
Hey, Steve, what's J.K. shown you in camp so far, and how do you see him building off of this season?
He's had a good camp. I've been very pleased with just the approach, the effort. I thought tonight he ran the floor hard. He had a couple plays in the third quarter where he sprinted and took a defender with him, and we got shots behind the play, and that's a hugely important trait that we need from everybody, but especially from him, given his speed, because those often lead to layups for him or putbacks. So when he sprints like that and the ball moves, then he can really take advantage of his athleticism. So JK's having a good camp. Yeah, Steph and Jimmy are scheduled to play in Portland, and Al too.
Quick follow on JK. Just what did you make? It seemed like he was featured, especially early on in that first 6 minutes of the first quarter. Just what did you think of that stretch, his floor game?
Well, we had too many turnovers. He had a couple of them. We'll have to look at the tape, but it felt like our spacing wasn't great on some of those turnovers. But 14 as a team in the first half, you can't recover from that. So we've got to clean that up. But that was the whole team. But we knew without Jimmy and Steph that we were going to run a lot of offense through JK and Brandon, and those guys did a good job.
What do you make of? I think he had 6 He had 6 assists again tonight. What do you make of him looking to pass? I guess it seems like every time he gets the ball, he is looking to kick it out or make the extra pass.
Yeah, I think he's had a really good passing camp. He's done that in scrimmages. He's seeing the floor well. He's making some really nice reads, and that's a part of his game that he's improved for sure.
Crier continues to at least get those shots up and look solid. What have you seen his progression look like in the last couple of weeks here as camp gets set to close?
Well, the progression has come with shot making. We knew he was a good shooter, but first week of camp and first exhibition game or two, he didn't shoot it well. Just the first one, I guess. We've only had 3. So he's a gamer, LJ. He's tough. He's confident, and I think he's showing he's got a real chance to play in this league.
And I want to focus on LJ Crier here. In fact, probably to finish up the show, Crier, in case you forgot, literally was the difference in the second preseason game. Without him, the Warriors are 1-2 and not 2-1 in this preseason. I think that's a safe thing to say. And Crier, I think a lot of people, myself included, were anticipating a slightly bigger role in tonight's game. Maybe we'll see him play more minutes in Portland tomorrow. Side note, Mark Haynes and I will do the I-80 crossover tomorrow night. But because the Warriors game is not televised, I think we're just going to start right at 9. And we'll talk about the game while it's still going on and just figure it out in this embarrassment of the local Bay Area media scene that literally the institutions who pretend that they're the experts can't afford to send production crews to cover games. Asinine. But LJ Crier, this kid is impressing. And in his second a stint of significant action in the preseason, only plays the fourth quarter. But it's important to note that in that fourth quarter, the Warriors made it a game. They got outscored by 5. The third quarter was their best quarter of the night. They outscored the Lakers 39-27. They got outscored in that final quarter 36-31 in a quarter where only like third stringers were playing, and that includes LJ Crier. Excuse me. His box score continues in terms of the positive trend from preseason game number 2. 10 minutes, 28 seconds. He was 4 of 7 shooting from the field. He was 3 of 5 shooting from deep. Folks, that's 60% on 5 3-point attempts. Not bad, sir. Added 2 assists, 11 points and 2 assists on the night, with 3 3-pointers made for LJ Crier. And again, this is a player who will not likely have a significant role on the Warriors this season, but in Santa Cruz, I mean, if you're first of all, if you live in Santa Cruz and let's say you are a Santa Cruz Warriors season ticket holder, chef's kiss to you for living in Surf City and also getting Warriors basketball. That's incredible. Now, it is the G League, but who cares? Sometimes heavy hitters play there, and sometimes you get an entire season of LJ Crier playing in your town. That should be exciting. And when it comes to LJ Crier and a realistic expectation for the Golden State Warriors, it's not going to be this year unless the Warriors experience a nightmare scenario where all the veterans just age before our eyes. Armando Laura and I on our Friday happy hour shows have brought that up a couple times, and we're going to dedicate a whole episode to that. Maybe it'll be this Friday. Like, what happens if, and I don't anticipate this happening, period, but when you look at the ages of these individuals, don't pretend it's an impossibility. Like, what happens if Steph, Jimmy, Al Horford, Draymond, what if they start looking like old mofos out there? What if their play is just anemic? What if they can't stay in front of people anymore defensively? What if they're not lethal offensive players anymore? The most realistic outcome for those 4 would be injuries, like because of age, right? Like, injuries will keep them out, hamper them. So let's say that happens, right? Worst case scenario. And again, Armando, Laura, and I will discuss that in detail maybe this Friday in terms of like what happens to the Golden State Warriors under that horrible situation. It's just a hypothetical scenario. I'm not telling you it's going to happen in real life, but even if it's just a 5% probability, still, I mean, it's a little concerning to think about. In a scenario like that, yes, I think LJ Crier might have a role for the Golden State Warriors this season, but that's how improbable it is that LJ Crier, who, again, for an undrafted rookie, bravo to the Golden State Warriors scouting department for finding him, snatching him up the moment the draft ended and putting him on your summer league team and then putting him on your training camp roster. Bravo. He's been phenomenal. So, I just want to see what's in the chat here, as I like to. A few people saying they like Armando. Yeah, he's a good dude, man. The professor. And I think he's starting to him and his cousins or cousin. I think he has a couple cousins I know that he loves to just hang out with. It's his social circle, and they're huge sports fans. And he's been talking about using playback to provide some commentary during games. I'm guessing tomorrow excluded since it's not on TV. But yeah, he's a good dude, and it is fun to do programs with him. So Xavier, a Golden Dazer. I think you're a new one. Is this Xavier, my former student from San Luis Obispo, writing that the Warriors have been living nightmares since the punch? Yeah, that punch. And again, it's not the punch. I mean, the punch is obviously a huge part of it, but it's the leaking of the punch. And whoever did that got away scot-free, got a nice payday from TMC, and whoever they are, wherever they are, my sneaking suspicion is it's someone in Jordan Poole's camp. Didn't he have some like photographer guy that was basically like on his payroll that would travel everywhere with him? Like what was the guy's name? Jordan something? Like it would not surprise me if Jordan Poole and his crew had something to do with that, for the simple reason, follow the money. Like, Jordan Poole had not signed a contract extension yet until that video got leaked. It is no coincidence the video gets leaked, and Jordan Poole gets a monster contract where he's making close to $30 million a year for 5 years, right? Is that what it was? Anyways, I digress. But yeah, that incident was a massively negative occurrence and event for your Golden State Warriors. Simon 2 in the chat. Why is there now a JRLUG following your name, Simon? I remember you just being Simon 2. I was writing, honestly, I think it was an inside job for his contract negotiation. Yeah, I said the same thing. We'll see what happens. Julian Bashir, again, good to see you. You were absent all summer. We missed you. Writing, why sign Al Horford if he's going to be on a minutes limit restriction? And then Desario answers you right there, saying, so he can cook in the postseason, bro. I like the Al Horford signing. Of all the players on this team to worry about in terms of age actually being a variable which matters, I think Al is the one we worry about the most. But considering, again, in that Portland game, you had Donovan Clingan just grabbing rebounds right from over him. Not a good look, but it was just one game. Otherwise, I think that's it. All right. And we'll be back tomorrow, regardless. This was a short and sweet show. And let me see if I got through all my notes real fast. See if I missed anything. It was so the second quarter of the game last night was the one that was an absolute disaster because the Warriors only trailed by 6 after 1. It was 30-24. And then at the end of the first half, the score was 63-46. So the Warriors got outscored by, I believe, 11 in the second quarter. And even despite a solid third quarter in an attempt to make a comeback, it just was not enough. But again, LJ Crier, he's playing well. Podziemski and Kuminga, for the most part, they played well. And just want to see if there's anything else in the chat that I missed before we go. And then Derek Carter, 3870, and Simon 2 adding that those numbers are getting added to accounts for some reason. Jonathan Kuminga, according to Derek Carter in our chat, writing, Jonathan Kuminga is finally playing the way Steve Kerr asked. Damn, took long enough. Amazing what financial security will do to someone. Money goes a long way, and Kuminga not playing for his next contract, being in a much better headspace was a difference maker. Yeah, so it's good to see everyone on the Warriors roster being copacetic in terms of their roles. And I think that's it. We'll be back tomorrow night, the I-80 crossover. Real fast, I also want to mention, because FanDuel is our sponsor as well, the FanDuel Sportsbook. I want to take a look at tomorrow night's action and see what the line is for you degenerates who love to bet on preseason basketball. The Golden State Warriors in Portland, they are 1.5 point favorites. The Portland Trailblazers are plus 100 for the money line, meaning even odds to bet on Portland to win, minus 110 to bet on the Warriors, minus 1.5, and the OU is 232.5. Those lines courtesy of the official sports book of Golden Days and the Believe Network, and that is FanDuel. Thanks, everybody. I know this is short and sweet. NBC Sports Bay Area, get your act together. This was Bush League. Bush! NBC Sports Bay Area. Bush! Utterly embarrassing. I know I have to have some sort of NBC Sports Bay Area.
Man, you corny!
Yeah, you are. It's embarrassing. NBC Sports Bay Area.
I mean, it sucks.
Yeah, they do suck. I mean, how are you not carrying Warriors preseason games? What gives? I mean, if you can't afford it, you need to make some changes in your organizational structure. Last I checked, that's business 101. If your business is failing, you need to change management.
It makes no damn sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And I promise you this, if NBC Sports Bay Area called me tomorrow and they were like, Cy, we heard you're a professor. We heard you took a show that was nothing and turned it into something. You seem like a competent person. You might be kind of crazy. You blow off the handle every once in a while, but it's okay. You're human. We get it. We need some competency here in our leadership position. What do you say? You want the job? All right, we negotiate salary. And then you know what I'd say to all the haters?
How do you tell somebody that you care about deeply, I told you so?
I don't know, Michael Scott. I have no clue, but it's a shame. All righty, we're done. Thank you again. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. approximately. Mark Haynes joins me for the I-80 crossover, which is really just an excuse for Mark and I to work together. I love the guy. So join us tomorrow night. We'll be coming in during the Warriors game, but nobody's watching because it's not on TV, so who cares? We'll pretty much be your broadcast. Tune in. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.